Welcome to the Festival of Entrepreneurs, recorded live at the NEC in Birmingham. Over the next few minutes, you'll hear from some of the most incredible founders, investors, and business leaders who joined us this year.
You could create the best content in the world, but if nobody sees it, online there are only 3 ways people are going to find anything you got on the internet. And if you don't know how to get your content, regardless of what your business is, if you don't know how to address these 3 ways, which I'll tell you about at the end, just that was easy to state. Good luck. So I was at the BBC, and I was given a show in San Francisco, and I got poached by a big startup that just got bought for 600 million by Rupert Murdoch, and it was this new thing in 2006, social media. And I took the biggest gamble of my career. Because at the BBC, I was producing all the latest talk show. I'm a hip-hop player, lighting was a perfect job. But I took the biggest gamble. I decided to play Russian roulette on my career. And I left there, and I was targeting to launch MySpace. The name was MySpace before that. So I joined MySpace 2006. So to give you some context, this is when Facebook was only available to students. And at the time, there was probably about 20 billion people on the site. And within a year, we took it to over 250 million. Became the biggest website in the world. But a year later, we lost about 250 million. So how to know what works and what doesn't. So I'm going to tell you what to do and what to avoid. But what I learned at MySpace was the art of engaging. Because it's great to get people to see your website or your social media posts or your emails, but that's not the end game. You want people to click. You want people to like. You want people to react. So when I left MySpace 2009, I've been training, and I go all over the world, and I've trained organizations of all sizes how to convert people in digital media. But what I've learned over the last 25 years in this space is that there's probably been 3, maybe 4 opportunities to go from here to here quick. Whether you're individuals or small businesses or even big businesses, there's only been 4 times in 25 years. When SEO could pay for vegan AdWords, I would say that was one. When social media, the early stages like the YouTube social media area of Facebook, so doing Facebook ads there, I would say the TikTok, Instagram bit, that was another one. And that's it. Until now. Now we've got an opportunity to go from here to way over there. But this opportunity is like this. Every single day is an opportunity, is a day missed. And I think we've got 8 years. Maybe by the end of 26, the golden era will be gone. And you know it's a golden era because you can go to ChatGPT right now and you're not getting an ad before you get answers. Like there's no regulations, it's the Wild West. So what we want to be able to do is take advantage. So, something I've heard a lot in my time working in digital is the word change. Things are changing all of the time. And I can honestly say, nothing has changed. Professionally. But when I was working at Pop Idol to now, pretty much everything, the core fundamentals are still the same. You still need something to sell, you still need somewhere to sell it, and you still have to sell it to someone. That hasn't changed. But when you really break down innovation or things are moving, things are changing, what we really need to be aware of are 2 things. People's behavior and technology. That is what affects us on a day-to-day basis. That is what affects your business on a day-to-day basis. What are people doing and what's the technology that they're using? By the way, you don't need to take pictures of the screen, I'll send you the slides afterwards. So obviously take notes, but I'll send you the slides afterwards. So when I talk about behavior, one thing I know, initially, our attention span has just gone, you got 5 seconds to get to the point on YouTube before someone's clicking to stick the ad. Twitter, and by the way, I'm a Twitter person, not X. Twitter, TikTok, they're based in short form content. Another big behavior change is convenience. We do more for convenience than probably anything else, which means your customers will. And what I mean by that is, if you look at some of the biggest companies in the world, Amazon, Apple, Google, Airbnb, common is not necessarily technology. What they've got in common is, how can I make your life more convenient? Because if we can make it convenient, you'll do something. For example, from a show of hands, raise your hands if you've got Netflix. And you can raise your hands if you're borrowing someone's password as well. Alright, so that's pretty much the whole room. Now, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but every film I type in Netflix is never on Netflix. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that. It's always similar titles to what you actually want to watch. But you still have Netflix. If you think about it really, you're not paying for content. You're paying for the convenience to have access to content whenever you decide to watch something. Same with Spotify. I worked in the music industry for 10 years. I've not paid for music since the 90s when someone said there's a site called Napster and you can get free music. But I paid for Spotify. But I'm not really paying for content. What I'm paying for is to have access to content whenever I want. So when it comes to what you're doing, convenience is going to play a very, very big part. But when it comes to technology, the main piece of technology we're going to talk about is generative AI. Multiple choice question now. What percentage of UK social business plans, what percentage of UK small businesses plan to incorporate AI into their marketing strategy this year? So I'm going to give you 52%, 62%, 72% and 82%. So just raise your hands if you think it's 52%. Okay, so that's about a quarter. If you think it's 62%, it's a few of you. If you think it's 72%, it's 2 of you, but that guy said it with confidence, I like that. And 82%. So you guys make it as the highest number. Okay, the answer actually is 72%. So right now, and this year, almost 3/4 of business are planning to do it. So imagine next year, this is why I talk about that golden era is going to go, because soon everyone's going to be doing it. So, what advantages do you have right now? As a small business, it's really important that you double down on your advantages. Because I've worked with a lot of big businesses, and they're in, I would say trouble, but they're struggling with certain things. For example, speed. That's something that they, because of so many, like, people's got to do this, and some people's got to do that, etc. There's a lot of bureaucracy in businesses. You've got speed. You've also got agility as well. You can maneuver quickly. You don't have to speak to somebody and say, can I get sign-off to use this AI because of the privacy thing that we've got already, and then we've got to speak to legal, and then that's going to take 2-3 weeks, etc. You don't have to do that. And also you've got the ability to take risks. If something goes wrong, you don't have the Daily Mail asking questions. You know, you can just put something up. If it doesn't happen, okay. You don't have that, what some of the big businesses have. So that's your advantage. But you do have some disadvantages. One is time. Without speaking to you, if you work for a small to medium-sized business, I know time will be an issue. Because I've spoken to millions, that's a bit over-exaggerating, but I've spoken to a lot of small businesses, and that's always comes up, time. The other thing as well is confidence. 75% of small to medium-sized businesses lacks confidence, not necessarily in what they started with and what they're doing, but more from a marketing point of view. I'm going to give you pretty much the marketing strategy that you need, and it really goes down to 3 questions. I've trained probably between 15 to 16,000 people all over the world, all organizations, all different sizes. So after a while, the same challenges, the same issues, the same problems come up over and over and over again. And I realized that almost every single organization, regardless of size, is trying to answer 3 questions. And they are, what content can I create? How can I get that content to the relevant people? And what can I get them to do? What content can I create? How can I promote that content to my target audience? And once they see it, what can I get them to do? Well, if you want 3 words, create, distribute, convert. That is the game. And that's been the game since MySpace. Digital is simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. And this is why we've got 15-year-old millionaires. They're not even finished high school yet and they're making millions on these sites. We don't need to create Google's algorithm. We don't need to know what goes underneath the hood on ChatGPT. What we really need to do is master how we can create content, how we can get that content to the relevant people, and what can we get them to do. Now, I see a lot of people say things like this: content is king, or create engaging content, or, and I'm hearing this a lot, create something where there's a hook at the beginning and then it's like first 5 seconds do this and do that. Good advice. I won't say it's wrong, but if nobody sees your content in the first place, so what? I would say that distribution in 2025 and 2026 is going to be the most important thing for you guys to master, even beyond content. The reason I say that is because soon everyone in here can use AI, will be able to use AI. So that means I can create a video, an amazing looking video, which I couldn't do 6 months ago, but now I can and everyone else can. But I still get 4 views on my video. And then this gentleman could create another video and get 8 views. And then you can create another video and get 16 views. And you can create another video and get 18 views. And you can create a video and get 1 million. It's not who created the best content. It's who could promote the best. And that was the biggest difference I got from going from the BBC to MySpace. When I was at the BBC, I could create a radio show and it could go on 1Extra or Radio 1 or Radio 2, and it could get hundreds of thousands of listeners. I didn't need to worry about promotion or distribution. That's what the BBC took care of. When I went to MySpace, and even though MySpace was 20 times bigger than the BBC, I could take the exact same piece of content and get 2 views. And I realized that content is king is only relevant if people see it. It's all about distribution. In fact, here's a little story. You are not getting the #1 hit without Radio 1 playlists. There was no way pre-2006, 2007, you were not getting to #1 without Radio 1 playlist, Kiss FM, Smash Hits magazine, some of you remember that. Until there was a song called Breathe by a lady called Blue Control and Sean Paul. And that was the first one that went to #1 without Radio 1. And then everyone said, shit. And then Afro Man had Because of a High. And there's reasons why you couldn't play that radio. That pretty much is the reason everything changed from there. There's a reason why BBC can get this many views and some kid in his bedroom can get triple that. It's because they know how to promote. So, why I'm saying this is because one of the tools that I've been using for a while is Constant Contact. Now, Constant Contact is a really good tool for you to use that covers all 3 of these: the creation, promotion, and the distribution. Rather than go to 50 different tools, because you're going to get shiny tool syndrome as you really get into AI, because there's so many good tools that do so many different things, and you're going to waste brain calories. You're going to be thinking, what shall I do? What tool? But don't waste brain calories. Just go to a few tools, whatever they are. And the reason I like Constant Contact is because it helps me with 2 main things. When it comes to creating content, you can write with AI. Now, this is pretty straightforward. And this is what you can get in most tools now as well. So what will happen is you log in, you go to something like Constant Contact here, and you type in whatever you want. And let's say, for example, you go to AI Writer, and then it will say, what type of tone do you want? Professional, enthusiastic, informative, things like that. You could do that in ChatGPT as well, but you need to prompt it to do that.
So here you could just come up with what type of tone you want. Let's say if I want something informative, and then say, what do you want to write about? And I will say something, and then it will just give you some options. Now, unless you've got 20/20/20 vision, I don't think most people will be able to read that. But trust me, it's amazing what they say. Of course, you can take that, you can edit it, you can add in your own 2 cents, whatever you want. But it's very much pretty simple to use. You don't have to think, really. You just need to manage. So this is one way that you can keep the speed up. Going back to your advantages and things, that you can also help build your confidence. The other thing that it does, and this is what I like as well, is that, now this is what you can't do in the programs, or you can, but there's too many, it's little fiddly things. If you're going to set up an email, for example, you want your brand look and feel. You could go to where it says, brand kit, and then you could just type in your site. So does anyone want to give me their website? Was it so? Lost Dutchman experience. Oh, spirits. Oh, okay. I thought it said experience. So spirits.com. Is that correct there? So what you could do is you go scan the branding, and what it will do is it will just go to the website. It will look at certain parts of the website. It will look at the colors. It will look at the certain assets that's on the website. And then from there, it will kind of give you the brand kit. And from here, you can decide, all right, let's stick with this one. Let's not use that one. Let's use that one. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Of course, we've got to keep the orange, and we keep that. And then we'll look at other things as well. So we're like, all right, don't want that. We don't want that. Don't want that. Let's stick with these. And then you can just decide, and you can go continue. And then when you do the emails, all of your brand kit's there already. Trust me, stuff like this is what takes up time. And as a small business, you really only want to be working on getting leads, sales, and delivery. So these are some of the things that's going to save you a lot of time. If you want, feel free. You can use Constant Contact for 30 days for free as a trial and test it. Also, there's a stand just behind the coffee stall there as well. In fact, Sophie, do you want to wave? Sophie at the back. She can ask any specific questions that you have, etc. Now, distribution. Because right now, that's doing content creation. So let's look at distribution. Right now, AI is the cool thing to use. AI is this. It's amazing. And then before that is influencer marketing. Then it was social media. I still think email is one of the better ways to convert people. It still is. With social media, and I love social media, but the problem with social media is that it changes way too much. Algorithms are constantly changing. I've got about 35,000 people who follow me on LinkedIn, and I've got a couple of theme pages that has over 200,000 each. 2 years ago, I could post and it would go to at least 20% of the people, they'll engage, and it would go to more and more people. Now, I'm lucky if it hits 3-4%. And LinkedIn is one of the good ones. So what you'll find is social media is constantly changing, along with what's called AI slop. If you haven't heard of AI slop, you will. And this is where people could just create loads of videos or images and just post it. You're going to get a lot of that now coming up very soon. Social's becoming quite a hard game. And I actually think we're going full circle back to email. So email is going to play a big part. And the reason why I also like email is because email ticks the box that I think will protect us when it comes to the robots. And that's distribution to the relevant people. So what you can do, another thing you could do in Constant Contact is campaign builder using AI. And it really is this simple. What you do, I'm not going to jump on them just because of time. It's very simple. I'll play this video, and I'll talk what's going on. You click and create a campaign. So you go to build a campaign. Then it will give you some options. So what are you trying to achieve from a particular campaign? Is it to attract new customers, keep people informed, increase engagement, collect donations, promote a product, promote an event? So let's say I selected attract new clients, or basically get leads. And then from here, you just kind of describe your business. So what exactly do you do? Could be a recruitment company. It could be the Dutch spirits or the Dutch experience as well. That's a side business as well. The Dutch experience as well. Whatever your business is. So you can fill that information. You can it's a campaign. So you set the date range and then you can decide what you want it to do. Do you want it to do events? Do you want it to do email? Do you want it to do social media? Because it does all three as well as a few other things. And then you say, what's your business? Great campaign. And then you give it a bit more information. Now, feel free to go to ChatGPT and answer what information to put in here as well. And then what you do is you put a bit more information. And this is usually, what do I want the campaign to do? So the first bit was describe your business. Here it might be, my campaign is about, I want to attract people because of Halloween or Black Friday or whatever it is. It takes about 2 minutes. Obviously, this is a video where I cut that bit out. And then it builds a campaign for you. So it builds the email for you. It says when it's going to send out. It creates the social media post for you. All you need to do is just go in and manage it. Okay, actually, I want to do this. I want to change that. I'm actually going to put this video. Let me change the date. And it does all of the hard lifting for you. So it does 80% of it. And then you just go in and just kind of just finish the rest and what makes it easier for you. As I said, it's really important to understand that for SMEs going into 2026, time is crucial. Probably more now than ever. You know, they lie to us. They say technology is going to save you time. I don't know about that. I've seen the complete opposite. In fact, it's given us more time. Not more time. Like there's more stuff we have to do. So things like this is where it can stop. As I said, stop wasting brain calories thinking. Think about the stuff that needs to be thought about. And if it can do a lot of the heavy lifting, let it. So, if you want a copy of the presentation, you just go there. What we'll do is you just go there, it will say copy and then click there. Obviously, I'll email it to you. The other thing as well, what I will also do is I'll also give you a couple of links for other things as well, some resources. So just to let you know, some of the things that I do, I have a daily podcast about AI for marketers, content creators, and everyday people. Every day, but it's only 10 minutes. So it's only 10 minutes every day. So if you're like me and listen to stuff at twice the speed, 5 minutes. Be over really quickly. So I've got that. The other thing as well, if you want to stay up to date with stuff, I've got a WhatsApp group. Well, I say it's a broadcast list more than anything. So again, it's just every day, 3 or 4 pieces of news of what's going on in the world of AI. So for example, ChatGPT made a huge update. That's the type of stuff that I'll share that will benefit us. I'm not getting into, oh, look what you could do this many tokens on a particular chat. Like I don't know all that stuff and I don't really care about it. I just need to know what results it can help me with. So there's a copy of the presentation if you like. As I said, these are some of the other things as well. So the podcast is called In a Nutshell. There's only 10 minutes and AI Nutshell. So In AI Nutshell. That's the podcast, 10 minutes. Spotify, Apple, etc. So, thank you very much for listening. I've finished speaking now. I'm going to ask any questions. But as I said right at the beginning, this golden era, 12 months, and that's being generous. You don't want to be sitting here 2 years' time thinking, oh man, I wish I'd done all that AI stuff. But I see a lot of people when I'm training, they'll say, oh, I wish I started Facebook in 2009, or I wish I started YouTube in 2012, or I wish I started doing TikTok in 2019. Don't be, I wish I started AI, because you'll be playing catch up. And catch up is going to cost you a lot of money and time. So start now. Now's the time. Okay? So, any questions?
Apologies that I have to bring up a potential competitor of yours. It's just for me to understand your platform better. Is it similar to Blaze AI?
Blaze AI? I'll be honest, I've not used Blaze AI, so I can't turn around to you and say yes or no.
Yeah. No, it's just for me to understand exactly how the platform works, because it's one of the things that I'm looking to getting to for membership purposes.
Your best bet might be to speak to the team at the desk. Just because I've not used that, they might have used it. So I use 2 or 3, and once I've found something, I just stick with it. I don't, just because of time. I'm going back to that. So yeah, cool. No worries.
Got another question? But it's got time for another question.
Thank you. Good to meet someone with a hip-hop background as well. A question I've been hearing from people who create background, connect with creativity and designers and things like that. is that they're not up to the standards of how it's done. We're not using AI. How do you challenge about pushing for AI when designers are reluctant because the standards are not what's expected?
So just to clarify your question, AI is not to the standard of designers and, okay. I agree in a lot of cases. Now, if I'm a fully fledged designer and etc., I'll look at that and I think it's primitive, but I'm seeing improvement. And if I'm looking at the improvement and I'm seeing how fast it's grown in a year and in another year, I'm like, okay, then soon it's going to catch up. Because AI is at the worst it will be right now. What you see today is the worst it will be. I actually think if you've got a skill, you're in a very good position. I see a lot of people thinking it's going to take my job. But ultimately, AI, and please remember this, the fundamentals of it goes down to 3 things. What's your prompt? What tool to use? And the hardest one, your imagination. A designer knows what to write for a prompt and they can use their imagination because they've done this for years. So they will always get better work. They will always get a better output than someone else who's not, and they'll put it in a basic prompt. Where I pivoted and it grew my business, I'm not someone that would say it grew my business 427% because I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. But what I know is that I'm a lot busier now than before is I actually, as the kids say, I slide in the DMs. I do a lot of DM individuals because if you're going to buy my product and my product is not £1.99, then I'm going to have a conversation with people. So I will put my content out there. And the other thing as well, I put my face and it's me. It's not an avatar. It's me speaking. Because I believe that people are going to get fed up with all of these robots and they're going to appreciate seeing a real person. Now, maybe that's a generational thing, but that's what I feel. So that's what I'm doing. But most of my marketing and efforts now is direct messaging. So social media still works. It's that most people think social media is everyone wants to be Mr. Beast or everyone wants to be an influencer. I get loads of views and stuff like that. But actually, I think as long as you get it to the relevant people and the AIs are smart enough to work out who it is, because the more people engage, the more data, the more money. And the rest of the time in the DMs, that should be like a real standard social media strategy for, unless you want to be a big influencer then.
Thank you. I'm going to wrap up now before we get told off. There's various people nodding at me very hard. Yeah, I think that was really helpful, Andrew. And just to sum up from a marketing background as well, I think we always have to remember that marketing is there to just enable a sales conversation. So that comes back to your point. And, if you get their attention using AI, that's great. But at some point, it will move into that sales conversation. If that has to be personal, that's where that comes in. So, yeah, I love a bit of AI myself. I do refine it, obviously. It's not as good as me, probably right, but nearly. Okay, brilliant. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching this special episode from the Festival of Entrepreneurs. Our mission is simple: to help founders and business owners grow faster, think bigger, and take action. And if you were part of the event, thank you for joining us and being part of the community. And if you missed it, don't worry. We'll be back with even more ideas, inspiration, and opportunities to help you take your business to the next level. You can find out more and register for future events at festivalofentrepreneurs.co.uk.